Olá a todos e sejam bem-vindos a mais um episódio do podcast Facility Management Sem Mistérios. Meu nome é Thiago Santana e no episódio de hoje a gente vai continuar com o bate-papo com meu amigo Pavi da Malasia sobre a seção FM of the World, tratando um pouquinho das diferenças, das oportunidades, das similaridades que nós temos entre esses mercados que são tão distintos e tão diferentes. Mas antes da gente voltar à nossa conversa com o Pavi, eu vou dar mais um recadinho do nosso parceiro, o Beer or Coffee. Já falamos do Beer or Coffee em diversos episódios do nosso podcast, por isso você já sabe que ele é o maior marketplace de espaços de trabalho de toda a América Latina. O Beer or Coffee lançou uma nova forma para te ajudar a garantir créditos gratuitos para continuar explorando mais de 1.000 coworkers em todo o Brasil. A função Indique e Ganhe. É muito simples. Cadastre-se na plataforma, procure pela aba Indique e Ganhe no site ou no aplicativo e encontre o seu link de indicação. Depois é só compartilhar com quem você quiser dar uma diária grátis de presente. E claro, você também ganha. Cada colega que se cadastrar por meio do seu link vai fazer a primeira reserva gratuita, garante mais um crédito para você conhecer um novo coworking. Cadastre-se, garante sua diária grátis, compartilhe o seu link de indicação e continue ganhando créditos gratuitamente. Acesse www.beercoffee.com ou confira aqui no link da nossa descrição. Muito bem, na semana passada a gente terminou a conversa com o Pavi provocando sobre o papel dos entes governamentais na estratégia de FM, não no sentido de políticas públicas, mas no incentivo à realização, à implantação de contratos dos modelos que nós temos nos mercados mais modernos e nos setores privados aqui no Brasil, por essa parte importante de qualquer tipo de economia. Então é a partir daí que a gente retoma o nosso bate-papo. Eu repito a pergunta que eu fechei no último programa e aí a gente continua na nossa conversa. Curta aí. Question to you is, Brazil from a geographic perspective is a big country. So north to south have 8,000 kilometers, east to west is the same. So it's not a country that is that usual or common people just come to work. Number one, due to the distances. Number two, to the language, as you just said. You have to establish English as a common language for everybody, and then you can deep down and learn and teach them how to speak Malay. We have Portuguese, but our population doesn't speak English. And the rest of Latin America, for example, we speak Spanish, so it's a barrier. And now we are starting to face this challenge in the sense of how the best way to deal with people from coming from other countries to work with us. It has increased, what I think is a very good thing. And my question to you was in this sense, how do you have deal with that? But I like what you said, at the end of the day, the culture shapes the rest of the thing. If you understand the strategy, if you understand the needs, it's a little bit easier to minimize the communication impact that may have from people from different countries or different parts of the world. So, Pavi, in many countries, government, in the sense of the structure of the government, they played an important role in the size of the market from outsourcing business. Historically, in Brazil, we have a more involvement. The FM business is more involved in the private sector, when companies are more flexible to hire, to fire companies from several types of service provisions. But when you look at the government, we still have a lot of opportunity to grow. So there's some aspects related to legislation that the government has to hire the staff for cleaning, for janitorial, for maintenance, for catering, whatever. In some case, we have a lot of legislations that make things not that flexible to work with. So the bottom line is, when you look for UK or US market, where outsourcing in the government sector is something that is mature structure, here we are going this direction. In Europe, people do not think about that. It's not an issue. How is that in Malaysia? How the government plays or acts in terms of outsourcing for the services in the structure?
In Malaysia, we have undergone transformation in the 90s, whereby the government has moved from a traditional government structure to corporate mindset. organization, meaning that there was a privatization practice being activated. So what the government did is that the main reason why they went into such strategies because one, to increase efficiency of the people, especially government staffs. They also wanted to reduce overheads and produce competitiveness, establish competitiveness among government agencies or government arm length agencies. So that transformation during the 90s was not very much welcomed by those who were working in the government sector because it was a new territory, new rule book. People were not comfortable, and it took some time for the people to actually adjust the mindset. But it is not completely disappeared from the circuit. People still do have that government mentality, which is, hey, I come to work at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I must have my tea, 1 o'clock my lunch, 4 o'clock my tea, and off I go. All right. So by working in a private sector, the, the ball game is slightly different. So what the government did eventually is that they started to introduce contracts for FM, service contracts. Say, okay, cleaning services, we're not going to hire gardeners and cleaners under our payroll. We're going to outsource all these support services to smaller companies where it can help economy to grow. Yeah, and it helps competitiveness among organizations, and at the end of the day, the cost that is borne by the government is much more sensible than before. So what happened after that is the government started to play the role of FM, facility management. And there's some part of the organization, the government organization, they were thinking about asset management. Some are talking about facilities management. They always get confused, which is which, common. But the operations and maintenance is totally outsourced to third parties. So today, I think we have quite a number of service providers, IFM service providers in Malaysia, and some of them in command up to about 80,000 USD per year, contract per year. That is a lot of money, and that's how it's growing here right now. So the entire service sector is outsourced to third parties, and the government is managing it pretty well, I'd say.
It's great. And Pavi, we have very differences in terms of the value of money, especially when you talk about dollars in comparison to Malaysia and Brazil. Do you have an idea how many people you mentioned earlier that the estimation is around 1.52 billion US dollars, the size of the market. Do you have an idea how many people can be roughly involved in these numbers? After the meeting, Pavi just confirmed that the size of the market in Malaysia is around, it's estimated in 3 to 4 billion US dollar. Let's continue.
Oh, absolutely no idea, Tiago. There is about 100 and hold on, about 150 FM service providers in this country. IFM service providers. There's quite a number of cleaning service providers. I don't know, security plenty. I'm not sure. Maybe. Uh, about 500,000 people, I suppose.
That makes sense, and that's the kind of number that I was looking for. And just to make it more tangible, what I said a couple of minutes ago about the differences in the currency from our countries. Pavi just said they have half a million people working or involved in the family business, which reflects something around 1.52 billion US dollars. In Brazil, the estimations tell us a little bit about 20 billion US dollars, sorry, per year, which, wow, so the market's 10 times bigger than Malaysia. but with an estimation of around 2 million people involved in the service. So you have 4 times the number of people involved, roughly, but 10 times more money involved due to the difference in the currencies. So, Pavi, and I like what you said about this transformation that the government have promoted in the country over the last years. We're moving in this direction, not quite there, but we are moving on. But I'd like to also now talk a little bit your experience with the associations, your experience with the organization around the FM world. You are an ambassador of Euro FM, is that correct?
Yes, and I'm an ambassador to Malaysia for Euro FM.
Tell us a little bit, what does it mean from a country, from Malaysia? What kind of knowledge, what kind of information, and what kind of advantage you can take from being part of such a big association as EuroFM?
Yeah, it is a real honor to be an ambassador to Malaysia for EuroFM. It's not merely a title, but I think it is a responsibility that is given to me by EuroFM to achieve the global citizen concept, whereby I can help in the various type of activities, collaborations, and such. In fact, I've done a few things as of late that has helped to bridge the FM community in Malaysia and also the FM community in Europe. This whole thing started in the year of 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 2017 in Madrid, where I did a pitch to EuroFM's board members, the CIFMAS conference, EuroFM CIFMAS conference in Madrid, about the Malaysia-Europe Facility Management Development Initiative. The idea, which was started in 2012 with a 10-year roadmap that just concluded in June this year, whereby the number of things that we wanted to do. One, establish better communication between Malaysia and Europe, so that there is a flow of knowledge, passing through, and it is able to help the Malaysians to catch up with the mature markets quickly. One. Two, we have done international student placement. Some Malaysian students going over to Europe, doing the summer camp. In return, there was a student from the Netherlands, which I helped her to obtain an internship in Malaysia. So she was able to learn the culture in Malaysia, able to do comparison between the market in the Netherlands and also in Malaysia. So she was quite a bright student. Her name is Iris Van Oers. She did a very excellent presentation about her findings in Malaysia in one of EuroFM's student competition. Other than that, being a EuroFM ambassador, I have recently helped 2 universities to sign up for an MOU, one more on the pipeline. This university is the University of Technology Mara in Malaysia, and the MOU will be with the FH Kufstein Tirol University of Applied Science from Austria. So why I'm helping this partnership between universities is, one, to close the gaps, to provide opportunities for students to do internship overseas, to learn cultures of others, and at the same time they can bring back the knowledge that they have learned back to Malaysia or back to Europe, and help to achieve that global citizen mindset one day. So I think my duty has not been done yet. It's more to go. I've spearheaded 3 international conferences in Malaysia, which is the MYEFM Summit in 2013, 15, and 17, and the 4th one is coming next year here in Borneo. um, sometime in September, I believe. So that conference will be the continuity of the MyFM Summit. And besides that, I also do mentoring. I try to get mentors from Europe to engage with our local students here in Malaysia, so that these seasoned people, they could actually transfer their knowledge, their experience to the young generations. And finally, if you might be aware that as an ambassador, I'm organizing a free webinar called MYFM Webinar. That is currently being broadcasted in 25 to 30 countries internationally. So everything is done free of charge, um, and the passion is to help people and also to establish a better world for all of us. So I think that is what required from me being an ambassador for UFM.
And I believe, Pav, that's the energy that moves all of us. We do a lot of things for, as you said, free of charge, just because we believe in the development of the sector, and how it can help the countries and the markets and the governments to achieve better service, to achieve better strategies around our country. So it's what we do. Pavi, you just mentioned about the students program, and EuroFM is very prominent in promoting the the enhancement to promote the development of students and the knowledge around the universities, basically in Europe. But as you just said, also you are uh, closing this gap also in Malaysia. My question to you is, the programs for graduation for degrees in FM are still very uh, not well developed in Brazil. We are struggling in how to have robust programs that really help to shape the formation and the skills needed for people to be good facility managers. And you just mentioned Yvette. Yvette was part of one of our programs a couple of weeks ago, talking exactly about the programs in Netherlands, which is the most advanced country in the world. My question to you is, how is that working in Malaysia? Do you have programs established? Do you have plans around that, or are still thinking about how to better establish that?
Well, in Malaysia, we have master's program for FM and PhD. We do not have a degree level program. I'd say worry not, because the nature of FM, that it is a multidiscipline profession. So if you want to be a good facility management professional, I wouldn't say manager, because manager limits you at a managerial level. But if you put yourself as a facility management professional, you can be anywhere between a lower supervisory level right to a director's level. So I would totally take away the facility manager concept from everybody. And if you're talking about Brazil, don't worry yet. Like I say, it's a multidiscipline. Let people from various disciplines come together, and when they are there in the job, when they're there on the job, give them the opportunity to continue their studies. It can be a professional certificate, it can be a higher diploma, it can be a master's in that fact. So this is where they will have a good grasp. But I also believe that in order to produce a pure FM graduates, it's going to be quite a challenge. It's going to be quite a challenge. One, the syllabus that is required is quite broad. Like, for example, I come from a business background. My first degree was business administration. I understand about contracts. I understand about business laws. I understand about market positioning. I understand about customer service. I understand about organization behavior. I understand about strategic management. Now, all this also required in FM. So if someone is going to spend 3 years studying business administration and coming out with a degree, and you would want to add that syllabus into the FM syllabus, goodness me, until now I wouldn't graduate from my first degree. So give them the opportunity to experience whatever studies they are from, but definitely there is a path into FM, wherever it is. It can be legal, It can be on procurement perspective. It can be on the marketing perspective of FM. It can be also on the communication perspective on FM, engineering perspective. Not to worry. But there must be an opportunity. There must be choices for people to grasp when they have joined the industry. Fundamental is we need to create more awareness about how can you come into FM.
Which is a very, very, very good question. And as you just said, Pavi, it's not easy to establish a bachelor program around FM due to, as you said, it's so wild, the number of skills, the kind of knowledge you have to put in place in our daily routine that sometimes it's not that easy to accommodate in one specific training program, and specifically depends on the difference on the career that one can take in difference from the other. It can, okay, I will study 5 years, but maybe three of them, okay, it's important to know, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make that difference to me. Depends on how you as a profession will drive your career in the market. So I fully understand what you said when when you mentioned that it's not easy to establish a program like that.
One of the things that I wish to add is the uniqueness about FM is it's a team players profession. It is not
Yes.
a soloist profession. No one in the in a group in a group of professionals knows everything. We have to depend between one another, play nicely between one another, establish good communication between one another in order to serve the ultimate client at the end of the day. So that nature, that demand, in fact, will not be possible for someone to develop first degree entirely to the needs of FM. So we play as a team.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Pavi, for us to start to finish our interview, last three questions to you, my friend. Number one, what is the key challenge that you have in your country? So, again, you have traveled a lot around the world. What is the thing that said, if you could choose one thing that you'd like to improve to tomorrow to solve the problem around the Malay market, what could it be? What's the fundamental challenge that you are facing in the FM business in your country? Question number one.
The fundamental thing that uh, needs immediate improvement is the understanding on the definition of FM. There's too many definitions outside there, and everybody's getting confused. So if organizations could adopt the ISO 41000 and understand the definition described in ISO 41011, everything starts from there, and people will have FM organizations. Yeah, doesn't matter whether they're from the service providers or from the client side, will have a clear definition. I give you an example. The wall behind you, it might be painted in white, but I'm telling you, Tiago, that is pink. Would you agree to me? No, you say it's white, but I say in my definition that is pink. So we work around pink. And worst case, if I'm your boss, and you have to agree to that silly description that a white wall is a pink wall. That's what's happening here. People do not have the full understanding about the definition. And definition is the foundation. It's the foundation. So if they get the foundation right, everything else will fall into places. Everything else will be very clear. People are able to differentiate what is asset management, what is facility management, and what is property management. They are interlinked, but the roles played in each of these segments is totally different from a management and above, tactical and above. Operational, it's more or less the same. But tactical and above, tactical and strategy side of it, it's totally different. So I think the best is to get a good grasp about the definition of FM.
And Pavi, you just proved my point when I started with this session FM of the world that The challenges are pretty much the same all over the world. We are also struggling with the definitions about what facility management is, what is the limits of responsibility, what is the role of the demanding organization, of the FM organization. But this is a discussion for the entire program that we'll schedule later on. Question number 2, my friend. What is the characteristics that you have in the Malay market, that around the FM business, of course, that you are most proud of? Let's say this we do very well. What is that?
I think the part that we do very well is to please our customers, please the people that we engage with, please those we serve. I think it is very human nature about pleasing the others, and it goes back ancient time. I think that's what I'm proud of being a Malaysian. I'm proud of being a human being. We always try to please others no matter how. And that is part of FM.
And that's something that I can tell to my colleagues. People in Asia are very good at pleasing, if I can call it this way, the customers. About creating a comfort feeling, about being welcome. If you have the opportunity to go there, I'm sure you have the same feeling. Last question, my dear friend. You definitely clearly succeed in this market. For the guys that are just starting this journey, what are the tips? What are the thoughts that I'd like to share for us to finish our conversation? For the other guys also succeed in this market. What would be those tips? What would be those ideas for them to be inspired?
I'd say believe in yourself. Never doubt whether you're right or wrong. Never doubt in what you think. And do networking, because when you start doing networking with others, you will learn new things in your life. Not every one of us are fortunate to travel. Sometimes we may have financial issues at the wrong time of our life, but always try to have an open mind, and keep on learning, because learning is a journey. And the more I know, the less I think I know. You know what I mean? So believe in yourself. Perseverance is important. Always ask someone to give an honest view in what you're doing, about how you're thinking. Take it as a learning progress, and if possible, there are many. Get a mentor. There are a lot of seasoned facility management professionals out there, outgoing. If you are into LinkedIn, get connected in LinkedIn. Ask somebody who is seasoned, and ask them, "Can you be my mentor?" And learn from them. And I'm sure you'll be successful in whatever way you will be.
And you mentioned something that is extremely important, Pavi. Of course, budget is a limit, is a potential problem when you talk about traveling, when you talk about being in contact with people. However, especially after the COVID, we had access to a lot of information for all around the world for free. If you go now to LinkedIn from Pavi, and I will have you have the link in the description. You have a lot of information about my FM webinars, my webinars, a lot of events from Thailand, from a lot of aspects around the world. So today, at least, the problems with travel and the problems with budget is not longer huge. It is still a problem, but not a huge problem as it was in the past. Pavi, thank you so much for the conversation. It was incredible. For sure, we'll have other opportunities. You'll be invited more times for us to discuss, because we have a lot of things to share with our audience. Para vocês que estão nos escutando, não esqueça de curtir, compartilhar o conteúdo desse episódio e fique atento que semana que vem tem mais Facility Management sem mistérios para vocês. Um grande abraço e até a próxima.